Good evening, everyone. A bit louder. Good evening, everyone. Okay. So I know you all must be feeling tired, and today the day has been long. But I'm guaranteedly sure you all must have enjoyed this series of wonderful conversations, right? It would definitely was not anything sort of a lifetime of learnings on the topic of leadership and change, and all the leaders coming here sharing their experiences and ideas with you. And moving forward in the same line, we have our esteemed panelists with us, Mr. Ravi Kant sir and Mr. GBS Raju sir. Leaders who have not just excelled in their fields, but have also inspired, transformed, and led with purpose. And as it is said, and you all must have heard this, that great leaders are not born. They are made through experience, learning, and resilience. And at a time where change is constantly happening, how our young leaders, like all of us, can step up, adapt, and create meaningful impact. So without doing further ado, we will move forward in this line. So my first question to you, both of you, sir, is आपके लिए लीडरशिप क्या है और आपको क्या लगता है कि आज की डेट में जो हमारा युवा है वो इस लीडरशिप को कैसे रीडिफाइन कर सकता है या रवि सर विल गो फर्स्ट विद यू we can go with whatever language you are comfortable with. Okay, definitely I'll repeat it. What does leadership mean to you, and how do you think our youth can redefine leadership in today's world?
Hello? Yeah. Leadership is contextual. And many speakers preceding me talked about that also. So while you need to hold on to certain values and ethics in leadership, there certain things need to change. And for that, depending upon what the context is. So we are talking about ultimate leadership, we are talking about 21st century. So I'll pick three things in 21st century, last 20 years. What the context is, and therefore we can define what the kind of leadership we need for that context. So the first context is there is increasing amount of uncertainty, unpredictability, and complexity in the environment. And therefore, a rigid hierarchical organization cannot handle that. And you need to therefore have a flexible, adaptable, proactive, and quickly reactive organization. Second is, there is a tsunami of data which is coming. And there's explosion of data which is coming, especially in last 20 years due to technology. So I'll just cite one person saying, he's a professor at MIT and also senior advisor to Google. He said some time ago that a century of progress is getting condensed in a month at today's rate of progress. So what does it mean? Century of progress is getting condensed in 1 month at today's rate of progress. That means that tomorrow, just before ChatGPT, tomorrow it can be week, next it can be a day, it can be instantaneous. It is impossible for one person to be repository of all this knowledge, repository of all this thing, and to be able to decide on that, somebody at the top. That's days are gone now. And therefore, you need to have distributed leadership. You need to have many, many people who will get the information and need to have some kind of collective leadership. So one person making the choice, one person doing this is not possible in today's time. Third is the youth. The demography has changed a lot. In our time, it was a different thing, but today demography has changed. And this demography, with younger people, if you ask them whether they will like to work or tolerate leading from the front type of person who's command and control type, and the answer is no. And why I'm saying this is last 1 year, a little over a year, I've been to more than 75 interactions like this. And I've asked this question overseas and in India. what kind of leadership you would like to have. And the answer is very, very clear that we want to be given freedom, we want to be given space, we want to be given responsibility. And I personally believe that it is absolutely correct because they have two advantages. You people have two advantages. Number one is that you are born in this age and therefore you are like fish to water. So you understand. As far as we are concerned, we need to unlearn many things or we need to adapt to certain things. But you are born with it and therefore you are very, very kind of with it. And number two is, I think your sensitivity to caring is far more developed than our generation is. I can tell you that. Whether it's sensitivity to your people, your colleagues, to human beings, or sensitive to planet, or sensitive to this thing, is far more evolved than our thing. And therefore, I feel that we need to have, therefore, this kind of leadership, which, in font of better words, I call it leading from the back. Because you're not a leader, but you are a facilitator. You are making other people do their jobs in a much better fashion.
Thank you, Anshmukh Adyaji, and for Soul Institute to call me to address the young, aspirant leaders here. For me, the definition of leader and what I learned in the last 28 years was that, my true leader and example is my father, is Mr. GM Rao. He is a true, I learned a lot from him. I joined business when at the age of 22. And I learned several things that I would like to share with you all, what I would like to share with my next generation and my children, is that leadership is all about, as Mr. Ravi Kant has told, the world has become flat. Now, it has become one, and it's become much more volatile. It's a VUCA world. And I see the more and more I interact with the next generation, Gen Z. You guys are, I feel, most of the people whom I interact with are very well disciplined, hardworking, and value-based, and you guys are much more driven than our generation. And if you have a true great purpose that is, and you work from your heart, and irrespective of what kind of a volatile environment that you come across, you will pass through that. That's what I learned from my father, because his true a leader is that, he works from a heart. The most important thing is that, you work from your soul, because it's so good that, you work from your heart. And as long as whatever you do, you learn, irrespective of the profession that you are in. You are a businessman, you are a lawyer, you are a doctor, but you work from your heart and you give your best, I think you cannot go wrong. And two, not to look short term, is that, life is a marathon, and look at anything that you do in a long term. That is second thing that I learned. Three is, apart from three things that I would like to say is, there's no substitute to self-discipline. That is, leading self is the key. If we can able to lead self effectively, we'll be able to lead a business effectively. Then we'll be able to lead and guide the society that we are around. And next point is that I heard Mr. Sunil Mittalji and also Mr. Ravi Kant ji and various leaders. It's an amazing day for me, or from the learning perspective. What I feel is my true experience is that a leader has to be, based upon situation. Like, for example, if you are in a startup company, you have to treat like how a mother treats a young baby, just born baby. Like, it takes care of hourly, daily, weekly. That's how the startup has to be looked at after. And after it, if the child is going to be getting into a teenager, then he gives a little bit freedom to go explore the world. Then once he becomes an adult, then you are giving the parent gives him the wings to fly. So same way, the business also is the same. It's an established business. It has a very direction. It's like a jet boat. It just, you put it in your compass and it just reaches your destination. Whereas a startup and a new businesses is something like a wind boat, where you know the destination, but you need to figure out the directions keep changing, but you know where to go to. So it's situational. Leadership is all about very situational, and you have to be there, and you have to. It can be in the middle, you can be from behind, or you can be in the front. But it's all about you and what you truly believe in yourself, and as a leader is what I learned from my experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, my next question to you, Ravi sir, is: can you, share one defining experience in your life which shaped who you are today, and our young mind sitting here can actually derive that learning out of that? Any one specific defining moment?
No, there are many, but I think I'll pick out one because it's about innovation. Uh, I've learned many things from many people during the course of my experience and from family. But to think big and bold is something which I learned from Mr. Tata. See, he not only thought big and bold, but he encouraged people to think big and bold. And then to give them the space or opportunity to execute it. And third thing is to, in case things go wrong, because many times things do go wrong, to have his support. Now you understand, if you have an environment where somebody gives you that, okay, go and think big, gives you the opportunity to execute it, and gives you the support, what he calls psychological safety of even failing, then you are able to do a fantastic thing. So I don't think I could have ever thought in terms of this, because, when I joined Tata Motors, it was $1.5 billion. When I left 15 years later, it was $39 billion. It wouldn't have been possible without his kind of thinking. So it is important. So let me just give one example of, he thought of nano. All of us have heard about nano. So he mentioned about this car 7 years prior to when it was launched in Geneva, and the price got fixed as 1 lakh rupees. Now in 1 lakh rupees, you can't get a car. So what do you do? And therefore we said no, because he has promised, because the concept of the car itself had undergone change in 7 years, and the raw material prices had shot through the roof. So what do you do? So we sat back, took a plain piece of paper, wrote down that, okay, 1 lakh rupees is the price of the car. So what should be the bill of materials? Means what are the components prices? We wrote that down. And we said, now let's go and do it. And everybody thought it's impossible. Our own people, this thing. But everybody worked at it. We didn't give up. Everybody worked at it, 1 rupee, 50 paise kind of component, design changes, innovation changes. Our suppliers who are German suppliers, other suppliers, American suppliers, they all said, no, it's not possible. But when we worked at it, a lot of innovation came, a lot of out-of-box thinking came, a lot of other things, because we said, no, we don't have a choice to fail. So we have to make it happen. And many times we came to a situation where we could have dumped the project because it was not possible. But we went back again and went back again and went back again. And we had put somebody like you, a young person, in charge of the project. And we finally made it happen. And Nano came out, it's the price of 1 lakh rupees. It was impossible, and something which was made possible. So what I'm trying to say is, what is true here is true everywhere else. So in your lives, don't project the past into future, because then you won't go much further. Think of the future itself. Think of the opportunities what you have. And that opportunity, and India is such a big, vast place, and so many things are there. You find a niche where you think you can go up there. Fix your target there, and then work backwards from that. Once you start backwards, you'll find you can't do it. And then that's the time when you need to be innovative. You talk to your colleagues, you go to net, you do whatever is possible. Be innovative, and make it happen. And I can tell you, that at least 9.5 times out of 10, once you set your sight on that, it will happen. It will happen. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. And many people preceding me have talked about don't be afraid of failure. Failure is a learning process. And therefore, keep doing it, but think big. Don't think incremental, but think big. Because then only you can make changes. And a country like India, you need to think very big, whether it is to cover a lot of population or do something in excellence or things like that, you can make a huge difference. And I do believe our time has come, India's time has come to think big and make things happen. And as our Honorable Prime Minister has been always talking about this, encouraging this, I think 47 is not far off. Then we need to make the dream which he has given to us realize. And I do feel that it is possible to make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Um, Raju sir, as sir talked about failure and that you need to have that spirit of not never giving up. So, what was one such moment in your life where you felt like giving up entirely, but there was one thing that kept you going on? It can be any specific quote or any incident, or maybe a book or any fun thing that you would love to do, not just reading books and some routine that you had followed, but any fun thing that you usually do to keep yourself
Which one?
motivated.
The learning you want to tell from the failure or the fun
Yes,
thing?
like any moment where you were like feeling like on the verge of giving up.
Yeah, okay. So this was, when we won the concession for Delhi Airport, it was in 2006. So it was a brownfield airport, and we have to build the new infrastructure of Terminal 3 and a new runway, making it ready for Commonwealth Games. Yeah, and we have to make sure that we are ready for 2010. So what happened was like what all the numbers that we have did at the time of the bidding, and actually the whole design of the terminal and everything, the project cost has shoot up by almost like 7, 8 times, because to bring it to the global standards, we went to the best of the best airports all over the world, and we brought in best of the architects and the technical team to design it. So we were not a listed company. Ability to raise money was very limited, but the project cost was almost 12,000 crores. So it was really a struggle. That was the moment that, I was heading the finance. I was not heading the airports division. And so I was really struggling to see how I can really raise the money. And it's so, I was so lucky that, making sure that, persistently and keeping it persons, and also having out-of-box thinking. And today, if you see, the AeroCity is one of the out-of-box idea that has come up, like, so the whole idea, because we need to raise money of 12,000 crores and we have limited resources, so we thought like, uh, how about building the entire hospitality district here? Because we will be handling close to around 40 million passengers, and we are middle of the city. That is, one side is where Gurgaon and other side is NCR region, and we are in the middle. So how about building the entire AeroCity? So that whole AeroCity concept that we could able to curate and develop, that was really a breakthrough for us, and we could able to raise finances, and we could able to partner with one of the best concessionaires. Today we have 5,000 rooms hotel in AeroCity, and it has become a city center now, and it's going to become a more attractive destination for all over the for the people around the country. And that was the most learning moment, that not to give up, and keep interacting with the best in minds in the industry, and they'll come out with some ideas. But having patience and perseverance made us to raise money, and we were able to complete the project on time for Commonwealth Games in 2010. So that's the one moment that thought I will share with the people. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Um, Moving to Ravi sir. Sir, what is the difference that you see between your times and the times we are living in today among youth enjoying and living their life to the fullest?
No, I think there's a huge difference between so-called my time and your time. Uh, in our time, security was uppermost in our minds. That means, how can I have a stable job? And that was the key thing. And therefore, you went generally into service, you went into something. You never tried to move out and try to take risks. Risk-taking ability was very, very limited. That was one. In today's generation, if you see, because you are already provided for most of the things of life, and therefore you are able to take risks, your risk-taking ability is far more. That's one. Number two is information. The information and the productivity of this thing through, especially through technological revolution that we have seen, especially in 20 years. As I mentioned earlier, you have a capacity to understand this much faster than anybody else. And we did not have that advantage at that time. So as I said, you are born into this generation. There you take it, you're like a fish to the water. And therefore you're able to do things in a much faster. So your productivity is enhanced 100 times, million times much more than our productivity. So what I would suggest is you should take opportunity of this thing that you have got, and therefore take risks, go forward, do things, and as I think number of speakers have talked about that, you'll face failure. It doesn't matter. Learn from failures. You see, failure is not bad, but if you don't learn from failures, then it is bad. So you must learn from failures and move ahead, and sky's the limit, I would say.
I think sir is focusing on the art of reflection and introspection. Once we are making the mistakes, and we have to make sure that we are learning something out of it, and not just going around and making
I'll
mistakes.
just say one thing, the three things to face this kind of challenge. Number one is you should have an open mind. Means you should be able to receive things, don't be a close-minded person. Number two is take ownership. I think today also many people have talked about taking ownership. You take ownership of whatever job, whatever level you have. And number three is be detached. While you take ownership, be detached. Again, many people have talked about this in somewhat indirect manner. So have an open mind, take ownership, and be detached. And I think rest is easy.
I think there was a question in the morning somewhere from the audience that they were saying when we are, working onto something, we become very much emotionally attached to that thing. And when we do not get the results, how to actually feel detached. So what do you have to say on that?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying you cannot be so close to it. So you need to have a distance. Then only you have equanimity. Somebody talked about equanimity. You will have a better perspective. You have a better balance of judgment if you are not too close. At the same time, you need to take ownership of the job or the task that you've got. So they are not they are not kind of opposite to each other, but they are complementary to each other. And coming from this country, I think being detached somewhat comes naturally to us.
And so your opinions on the
It's
same.
also like the spiritual saying, focus on your efforts. And I feel that, as long as we give our best, and we should not be focusing on, only the outcome. I think every point of time, giving our best onto the task or onto the project, and making sure that, we always have the best of the team, because the team and the talent is the key that we have. And unless we have a detachment, because otherwise we can't be a great leader. One of the key quality that a leader should have is he should be detached and not have any attachment, and that has been seen in our group, because my father set up 28 businesses. He started his career at 1974, and today we are into 4 businesses, because we continuously reinvented ourselves. We were in banking, we were in insurance, we were in Bangalore. We moved our entire corporate office to in 2014 here. So we need to reinvent ourselves, and we need to have a completely a detachment to businesses, to place, and we need to keep reinventing, I think then we'll start growing. That's what is my learning.
Okay, thank you, sir. And sir, I think even I face it on a daily basis. And I think this is a question on behalf of everyone, that the biggest hurdle that we, come across in our life on a daily basis are these three words, that log kya kahenge? When log kya kahenge? What people will say whenever we are starting on to something new of our own. And how should, what do you think that how should our youth deal with that?
Well, your time is much easier than our times. Log kya kahenge? In our time was a very different thing. In your time, it is much greater freedom, much where this thing you can break out on your own thing. One thing I would like to say is that, you see, you need to create a very powerful team because alone you can't do anything. So my suggestion to all of you is to try to create a powerful team. And powerful team comes from, again, three things: build trust, collaborate, and leverage strengths. But creating trust is in today's time is far more difficult because you don't know what is right, what is wrong, fake news is there, this thing. So trust is becoming the most precious commodity. And therefore, if you are able to develop trust, then you will have a more sustained success in life. That much I can tell you. In times of uncertainties, in times of where too much of polarization happening, too much of fake news is happening, building trust is at premium. And if you are able to build trust, and through that trust, if you are able to create powerful teams, I can tell you that powerful team can do anything, can do anything. I'll just cite an example. I've been in 7 companies, and each in a different industry, of which I had no knowledge of. So I'm entering the industry where people are far more knowledgeable than I am, far more technically competent than I am. So what do I do? By some stroke of luck, I got into those companies. So the first thing was to build trust. But trust doesn't come automatically. You can trust people, but people will not trust you. It takes time, it takes patience, and your behavior, which I call consistent integrity. It is your behavior, your transparency, your honesty, your integrity, your fairness, your equity. All these things over a period of time, people are noticing you. So at any point in time, therefore, you become predictable. You become so this thing, people can tell you that if this problem goes to him, then this will be the answer. You become so predictable. That's when trust begins to happen. And then once trust happens, I can tell you those powerful teams can do anything. You can, as I said, you can achieve anything. I've seen this in LML Vespa, I've seen this in Titan watches, I've seen this in Philips, I've seen this in Tata Motors. That creating powerful team, and that powerful team is about trust, about collaboration, and about leveraging strengths, individual strengths.
The next question that I'm going to ask is from both of you. Is there anything that you really want to change in your life for the better, but till date you haven't been able to somehow? What would you like to share with our people here?
Well, in my case, because I've been in corporates, so I have seen one side of the world. But that's not real world. Because now in last 7, 8 years, I've been seeing the other side of the world. For example, I'm associated with an organization called Akhand Jyoti in rural Bihar. We are now the largest, but that's not important. Our mission is to eliminate blindness in poor parts of the country through women empowerment. And we have football to eyeball program for women. And we give 80% free of cost. And India holds the largest number of blinds. But the blind doesn't come to me, even though we are doing free of cost. Our organization has to go out to villages, identify those, although we have so many blinds here, I mean, I say blind in both eyes, find out those persons, tell them, okay, next 10 days, my vehicle will come, you come, they come and stay there. Next day we do the operation, third day, again at our cost, we send them back to their villages. Now what I'm saying is, although we are giving free of cost, somebody who's blind in both eyes, he's not coming to me. I have to go to him. This is real India. And I think we must understand that most of us who live in corporate world don't understand what is real India. And I think through your people, if we can reach out to such people, I think that will be a fantastic thing, because that's where I think the power to make the changes come. And most of us, those who have lived on the so-called other side of the social life, I think it is incumbent upon us to go and live the other side. As also somebody was mentioning here that he lived in the travel area and so many other people. These are fantastic stories. And I would encourage everybody to have experience of both sides, definitely, if not only one side.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes. So the question was that is there anything that you really want to change in your life for the better and haven't been able
Yeah.
to?
So for me, I think from the business perspective and also from the personal perspective, is I like to live by this saying that always triggers in my mind is fast is slow and slow is fast. So in life, what happens is like, we think that there is a project to bid, you need to submit a bid, it is an attractive project, there is something that great opportunity is coming to you and it is a time bound. But, you have an impulsive mindset and you go and you give, and that's where we do mistakes. So my biggest learning is that opportunities are plenty. It is that we need to choose what to take, and we should learn the art of saying no, because not to take everything that comes onto you, and we usually as business leaders we shy away in saying no. I think we should take my personal learning is to take our own time, and you'll actually think you are slowing down, but actually it is fast. So that is one thing that I feel is, I have to live by is fast is slow and slow is fast.
And sir, last question of our conversation is any one book that you would like to recommend our youth to read?
It's called Leading from the Back to Achieve the Impossible.
Okay.
So my one of the best books that I have come across is Mindset by Carl Dweck. This is one of the book that I like to suggest to all the young leaders here, is that it's all about growth mindset, and irrespective of the profession that you are in, it gives you a great insights about how great leaders have really been successful, and what kind of challenges that they have faced and how they come up in life. So that's an excellent book that I like to suggest to all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ravi Kant, sir, and thank you so much, GBS Raju, sir. So, what an enriching session we all have had. And I would just like to wrap up with saying that our youth is not just the future, we are the present. So, we have to take up steps right now, right here at present, to bring some changes at our local level. And we have had so many conversations since morning, and I think we have definitely taken a lot of invaluable sessions with us. So, yeah, thank you so much. Over to you, Ms. Dhwani.